3, 2, 1.
You already started. I know you already started. I watched you do some clicky clicks over there.
I'm 30 seconds in. You can that's your cue for an intro. Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is Dr. Zeus and Darren Lee Horton. No?
Go for it. You know what? That sounded great. Go ahead. Give us,
you one taker. All right. That's all you get.
How are you this week, Darren?
I'm good. Busy, but good.
So, I mean, I was looking up trying to get a new PC because apparently my old motherboard, I guess I built my PC at the exact wrong time.
Yep.
So when I built my PC, I bought the top of the line CPU at the time. It was an i9, either the 850 or the 950. Anyway, I think it was the 850. But anyway, you could not overclock it. Like, it specifically was that iteration. You could not overclock. The following sub thing of I think it was the 900, you were able to overclock. So all of my RAM was stuck at 2700 megahertz when it was supposed to be at 3200.
Yeah.
So I was limited on my RAM. The motherboard itself didn't have that. What is it? TMP, the thing that's required.
TPM 2.0.
The thing that's required for Windows 11, apparently.
Not just Windows 11, but games as well. And the reason why I say this is because I had a discussion with someone today about that very issue. So continue, because I looked into it and I now know what it is. And
I couldn't upgrade to Windows. Call of Duty was getting pissy with me, saying that I didn't have TPM 2.0. And I'm like, I really don't care that you're mad at me. I don't like you. I am here purely because other people kind of like you. Like, Call of Duty at this point to me is like that one kid in school that everyone has all of the friends, but really no friends because everyone only likes him because everyone else thinks that everyone likes him.
More like we have to like this person in order to do something.
No, because the new kid just showed up and it's Battlefield, and he is going to take that other kid's lunch money and just shove him into a trash can and leave him there.
I was watching the BO7 beta. I'm sorry. There wasn't enough there for me to be like, hell yes, let's do this. But at the same time, I wasn't that impressed with BO6 either. And that was my first and probably only Black Ops game that I'll ever buy.
Battlefield, on the other hand, is sitting there like, we're going to have Zac Efron. We're going to have these actors. And they're in there for 20 seconds before they get hit by a nuke. And then these operators come in. It's like, what the hell was that? It doesn't matter. And then they actually show the game trailer itself. It was the greatest slight, yet we know we're better than you type thing ever.
They didn't even have to do that, because did you ever read the comments on, I think it was the BO7 reveal? The world was just lighting Activision on fire. They were saying things like, this is the greatest advertisement for Battlefield 6. Wyatt, as I told you, bought a computer. He's now in the computer world. He ran into the same issue with TPM 2.0. I just did a quick Google search on it, and it's basically just a little chipset that you install on your motherboard, but you also have to go into BIOS and update. And it can be a lengthy process. It's only $20, I think, for the chip itself to upgrade it. But at that point, it's like, if you're needing TPM 2.0, then you're probably inherently needing a new computer anyway.
Okay, so I understand that when you need to do upgrades or whatever, okay, fine. But the fact that in order to upgrade my system, I had to upgrade everything, because everything I did, if I wanted to upgrade my chip, if I wanted to upgrade my GPU, I could have, but I would have been horribly bottlenecked by everything else.
Yeah. And I read up on what it does, and it primarily deals with preventing things like ransomware attacks, etc.
I go to 6 websites. I really don't care.
Yeah, there's probably a very small margin of people that bought a computer on the hairline point in which TPM 2.0 came standard within motherboards. Very small margin of people where those computers are relatively new.
I built my PC during the pandemic. My PC was only 5 years old. I understand that there were leaps and bounds. I built my PC when the right as the 30 series was announced.
When Warzone first came out was 2020. That was during the pandemic. My PC was 4 years old at that point. It's a 32 gig, but it's a AMD Radeon, I think 580, but it's dual. It's only like 4 or 5 years old, even though the graphics aren't like, anywhere near what I.
So here's the thing. When it comes to AMD, I will listen to the arguments that they have for their chipsets. But when it comes to AMD graphics cards, don't think there's ever really been a good argument to ever do that. Like, and I've heard of a lot of people that have done like an Intel chipset and Intel graphics card, right?
Well,
some people like myself, I have an AMD chipset and I have an Intel graphics card. No one does a Intel chip and an AMD graphics card.
I was going to say, unless you're a Mac person from like circa 2000, I think it was like 2007 or 2008 onward, where they switched. I think they were running AMD primarily, and then they switched to the Intel, and that was like a step backwards for them. No, they switched to a Motorola chip.
Here's the thing. We don't care about this.
We don't care about
this
Apple.
Podcast talks about, gaming.
It's nerdy. It's in the
advancements of technology.
It's in the wheelhouse.
And Apple is, well, yeah, if that wheel is still, wooden wheel with, spokes and whatever driving through Amish country, then yes. 10, 15 years ago, the whole Apple ecosystem made sense to me because, yes, it made things nice, it made things easy, and it made things convenient. I can't get our podcast up onto Apple Music because they make things really difficult. Amazon, dude, I went to Amazon and it was just like, hey, do me a favor and put a link here. I'm like, okay, not a problem. And they're like, give us 24 to 48 hours to review your podcast and see if it meets our terms of service, but you're good to go.
And here's awesome. Alexa for your help.
iHeart, same thing. It's like, hey, give us, 24 to 48 hours. By the way, they cleared our podcast within like 30 minutes.
Nice.
All right. We were up. We were good. This has now been what, 10, 11 days of me trying to get it up onto Apple, and I still can't do it. And now I'm getting unknown error when I go to try to create the account for it.
Am I a fan of Apple? No. I'm more of a fan of them because of the fact that they started migrating most of their manufacturing in the United States. I'm for that, even though they're still assembled in China like everybody else. But I guess that's a step in the right direction if you want to call it that. But at the end of the day, I'm a Samsung guy.
Honestly, one of the things that we should be talking about as far as these like gigantic, developers and everything else is EA is going to be bought in the largest ever private equity buyout at $55 billion.
How much was Microsoft just bought?
Microsoft just bought Blizzard Activision, but that is not a private sale. That is a huge buying another huge company. So, and no, don't get me wrong. It was in 2023 and they did buy them for $69 billion.
Ayo.
That is a lot of nice.
That is a lot of nice. It's a lot of zeros.
That's a lot of nice. I'm excited to see what happens after another country buys it, because other countries and the way that they handle, the whole loot box thing or the microtransactions or things like that is just so different than how we do things here in the States.
So
right? And here's the thing. EA stockholders are going to receive $210 per share because it's now a private acquisition.
Oh, that's right, because they're reverting. Elon Musk kind of started that trend with Twitter.
Going back to what I was saying before, with another company or another country, I'm saying taking over something like that and how the laws change, EA has been known, like very, very strongly known for their microtransactions and their BS when it comes to just bleeding their gamers dry of different types of money, funds, whatever it is. With what Brazil is doing right now with the limiting of loot boxes to protect the children, again, I'm just wondering how different EA is going to be, since again, they've been known for, always wanting more money, to then being in a country that might not be allowed to do those types of microtransactions.
It ties back to like a private equity firm not knowing what the fuck they're getting into. They're going to learn probably the hard way. Multinational regulation as far as loot boxes are concerned, which, by the way, we were discussing this earlier. I thought when you said loot boxes, I thought you were talking about like loot boxes in Verdansk.
No. Okay, so the whole Fortnite, I think, used to have them, not anymore. So basically what it is and what the loot box is, and then when you open it, you have no idea what's inside. You can get between 3 to 6 skins or weaponry skins, some kind of back bling. You can get just different cosmetic items normally, but you don't know what you're getting.
Is that similar to CSGO's?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
They have their loot crates. But that is something that the EU has already banned, and it's actually why Overwatch, you can no longer buy loot boxes. You can still get them within a game and just have them handed to you, and you never know what you're going to get, but you cannot spend money on the items to then not know what you're getting because it's a form of gambling. So the gambling aspect of it, and this is already put into law in the EU, you cannot purchase loot boxes. And the thing is that they have it a lot in mobile games as well. So there was a thing that you could do. It was slightly more expensive, but you could use a VPN on a mobile game to log into whatever your mobile game happens to be. I think the one that they were doing with what was a Star Wars game.
Okay.
And let's say that your loot boxes cost $10 a piece, and you get a random new character, and you're looking for a very specific character. You could open up, let's call it a 1 in 20 chance. You could use the VPN to go to set your location to another country that has banned loot boxes. Spend $25 instead of the $10 and be able to pick your character out, because they do not allow you to gamble with the loot boxes. This is a thing that a lot of people have done to get ahead in a game that is just starting a new server or just starting a new section of the server.
Okay. But all I'm hearing is a sale. I'm not hearing. Right. I'm not hearing
one of them.
Go ahead.
One of them is that you are buying a very specific. Let's say you want Jar Jar Binks.
Okay.
Cool. So you could go and
said nobody ever
in the EU, if you want to buy Jar Jar Binks, you can pay money and have Jar Jar Binks, and that is the end of it. And you have him; he is yours forever. So, in the States, if you want Jar Jar Binks, you buy this box. And Jar Jar Binks might have a 3% chance of being in that box.
Okay.
So you open it. He's not there. So you do another one because you really want this thing. And that's the gambling thing that they wanted to get rid of in the EU. Because kids were spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars and not getting these specific things. So they continue to gamble.
Trying to get Jar Jar Binks, and I can either pay $5 and 1 in 20 shot of him, coming up and me being able to use him. Or I VPN to fucking France, where I can just pay $25 instead of doing it 5 times and not getting it. I can just pay $25, get Jar Jar, load him on my system, then switch back to the US. To me, that's just sales.
No, you're completely right. The thing that is that you brought up you going to Vegas, you playing blackjack. Okay. You are a 40-something-year-old male. These kids, they are 14, 15. I mean, they're the ones that are gambling. We are not, saying that a 13-year-old can go to Vegas and do that. With the blackjack, game of skill, I mean, there's still luck base in there, but yes, you can count cards. But you still can't, kids still can't go buy a scratcher for $5 with a 1 in 7 chance of winning.
Okay, so
I think you're missing the entire point of this.
No, because I was gonna go after the under 18s as far as them spending their money. Is it really their money? No, it's probably their parents' money, and therein lay the problem. Is you have an entire generation of parents not doing their job. So if their bank accounts are getting drained because these kids are just doing a purchase after purchase after purchase, which is not gambling because it is a purchase.
But but it is gambling because you do not know what you're buying.
But again, there's no return on investment. There's none. There's no gain.
Darren, you buy skins in Call of Duty. There's no return on investment.
I buy a shirt at the store. It's the same damn thing.
But it's not, because you actually then have something that you are wearing, something you can take out.
If people are willing to spend money on stupid shit like that, then you know what? I give it to the manufacturer of the game. Because I'm sorry, there's nothing that can fix stupid. All right. So if a game manufacturer company just creates a game and people throw their money at them, that's on them. All right. By that same token, If I go to a store and buy a shirt, that's not gambling. If I put in, say, $5 for a raffle, you really can't even call that gambling. But
it is.
It's a contest.
No, it's still gambling. You are buying your way in and a chance of winning. It's the same thing. Like, I know that we look the other way for like these small types of raffles, but that's the same kind of thing that you are gambling, and technically under the age of 18 is not allowed to do that. They can go to the store and buy any of the items that are inside that basket, but they cannot buy the raffle ticket in hopes of getting that basket.
Okay, so maybe in the context of a raffle, I could see their point. I'm still putting the blame on the parents. So for a country to sort of regulate what a game manufacturer is allowed to do, I'm sorry. They're, number one, as an over 18, they're well within their right to use a VPN. For everybody else, it comes down to parenting. Monitor this. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep count of my cursing. Wait, that's up. No, I was thinking of Ace Ventura.
Continue. I'm done with your like early 90s references. I understand that you haven't seen new movies. You don't need to only reference your high school days. Continue. Wow. Move on. Look, man, I understand that when you were in grade school, Casablanca was still in theaters, but like, let's continue moving forward with things. So basically everyone, Darren's whole point on this, the parents' fault and kids should be allowed to gamble.
No, I never said that. I never said that. It is, however, the parents' fault.
If you're looking for something on the other side of that, as far as like being able to buy things outright, again, I have to bring up Fortnite, because Fortnite is still a game that you are not getting these random things. Now, by the way, those types of loot boxes are still allowed in games. You're just not allowed to buy them with actual currency to then open them. They have to be an in-game reward only.
Yeah.
Because then it's no longer gambling. Then it is just, here is 5 random things that you've earned by playing the game. Well, it is not 5 random things for $1.
And I don't know about Fortnite. The only frame of reference, the only frame of reference I have is COD, because they have the COD points.
Which those are going to change soon also, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
So, again, the EU slammed Riot Gaming, which is the parent company, or the company that does League of Legends, because of having so many different types of currency, and every time you change currency from one currency to another, so whether it goes from like money to COD points to whatever their premium currency is, because you can earn some currencies with in-game, some is only with monetary value. Everything is only going to have to be one value, and it's all going to have to be related directly to a monetary amount in store. So if there is a skin or a bundle out there that costs, 6,500 COD points, and there's nothing in the store that adds up to 6,500, they're no longer going to be allowed to do that. It all has to be within. Again, the EU is cracking down on this stuff.
I know. I'm sorry. That's not going to be that big of an issue, because at the end of the day, if they were just going to do it point for dollar or point for franc or point for pound or whatever, they can easily do that conversion. That they can do that conversion no differently than they can do it for COD points. No,
but they can't. And the reason that they're having an issue with it is that, so if you go to COD right now and you spend $4.99, you get 500 COD points. Okay. Basically 1 penny per point. But if you spend $10, you get 1,200.
Okay. So it's the normal 1,000 plus an extra 200.
Right. But then if you want to change that currency into another currency and you need 1,450 to change it into a single token to buy something, how much is it now? Is it $14.50, or is it $10 plus another $2.50?
No, you do the conversion rate.
Right. A 6-year-old doesn't do that, which is what they're, again, going after.
Okay, and who's responsible for the 6-year-old?
Look, man, they want to police it how they want to police it.
I know. I think it's stupid that they're doing that, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the parent, and the parent should be held liable for their irresponsibility and stupid crap that their kids are doing.
You can blame the parents all you want, but even us having a civil conversation are losing something in translation.
Okay, so... Well, because I think you're doing multiple jumps that are not exactly equitable in value.
Correct. Correct. No, that's the whole point.
Right.
None of the values are equal.
But I would just as well cut out the middleman and just be like, look, if you're in the United States, then you're by the dollar. If you're in France, you buy the franc. Just one for one.
No, I understand that. But
Okay.
at some point, you have to transfer your money over somewhere else. I'm just using world currencies the same way that the EU did when they were passing this through Parliament. And that was that once you get so far down the line, you have no idea what that thing is worth anymore, because you just have this made up number of whatever it is. Like, you could go and put it into Zimbabwean dollars and be in the billions per $25 in the US. It means nothing to a person in the US. If I ask you without looking at a computer, how much is 1.5 billion Zimbabwe worth? I have no idea, but it's worth something in the US.
Just go to owanda.com.
Again, 6-year-old's not going to do this.
I know.
That aside, this is what they're doing. I have no control over their parliament.
From the currency conversions aside, someone has to be responsible for a 6-year-old. At the end of the day, it comes down to the parents and, the boundaries that they set for them and the responsibilities that they take on for that.
So
there's no two ways about that.
What the whole thing is that they were trying to get rid of the predatory things that were aimed at children. There was, and again, I've talked about this whole thing before, but there was a kid doctor app that would actually pop up with an ad. And if you moved away from the ad, the child on screen would start crying.
Jeez.
But apparently you're okay with all of this because it's the parents' fault, not the game developers or anything else.
So that's just a way of twisting it. You can create whatever form of advertisement, you can create whatever form of content, you can create whatever form of game per se that you want, provided you're playing within the boundaries and rules and regulations or whatever country that you're in. If this is something like, say, it's rated mature.
No. This is rated for 7 and under. Like, this is actually aimed at children.
Okay.
Like, this is
no different than the woke nonsense, without getting too political. With the woke nonsense and conservatives that were anti-woke, the responsibility was still on them. Even though companies like Netflix, Paramount, whatever, they would allow that content to circulate through their system, it came down to the parents to make sure that they were not watching it.
No, you're right. But this, again, whether your child wants to watch something on a Netflix or a Disney show is something else. When there is targeted ads that are like very predatory towards those children, that is something different.
Right. And
because when you have like we all watch TV and Saturday morning cartoons where, Crossfire or like the newest Hot Wheels would come on the screen. You're like, oh my God, I want to buy that. But you did not have the ability at that time to just swipe your finger across the screen and then purchase it.
Very true.
You now have that ability, and whether it is the parents or not, those types of ads should never have been put into those games. And that's what, again, the EU is going for. We're getting off of the EU. I'm tired of talking about people that haven't really mattered since 1776.
You mean 1812 when they lost the second time?
I still don't really care.
Well, okay, now to not like digress too much into it, but like Joe would be a great person to talk to about that, because there's some countries where their laws make so much sense. Like Germany,
the Philippines. The Philippines?
No.
Oh my God, I love the Philippines. They elected a dude that literally said, I'm just going to off all the drug dealers. And then he did. And then we have someone like Vitali, I think it was Vitali, goes down there and creates all kind of hell and now is stuck in a Filipino prison.
That's like FAFO at its best, though. So I'm sorry.
And you know what? And the thing is, it's like for a small period of time, I loved what Vitali was doing, because he was basically doing Catch a Predator, but live on his live on YouTube. Right. So he would pose as like some young child, and then he'd have this like team and like the cops. And as the cops were being like hauling him away, he'd play the cops theme of like bad boys, bad boys. It was great. It was like pinnacle. And then he goes and gets himself thrown into a Filipino jail.
Never heard of him, or, at least up until the news. But if you're going to go to another country, you better understand the laws of what you're going into. Like, no.
And it's not just him. It's also, what the hell is the other dude's name? I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. I keep wanting to say Jesse Smollett, but no, he was the dude that claimed racism. Smollett, yeah, whatever.
I love Dave
But anyway,
Chappelle
there's another dude that's actually in South Korea right now that is also stuck there because of doing stuff. He went on like the subways and things playing North Korean propaganda. Oh, it was stupid. It was whatever. Anyway, every time he goes into court, he has another court date in like 2 weeks. But every time he goes in, they end up putting another charge on him.
Yeah,
and
GG's, dude. You had a good run.
He's racked up to like 20 and 43 years now.
Which,
So yeah,
hey, that's still better than being in prison in North Korea, I suppose.
He actually believes that North Korea, because of what he did and the things that he said about South Korea, is going to come in and save him.
No. If I remember correctly, North Korea has a 3 generations rule that they can impose, which I don't know. I don't know if they would impose it on tourists necessarily, but they absolutely impose it on their own people. That's insane. My bad.
Entertain people while I find this guy.
Hi, everyone.
Talk about one of the things that you actually read on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guilty. Oh, yeah. The C-section to clutching Mortal Kombat wins. What is that? In 10? The extended version?
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's why. Why would
what
you do that?
Why? Why not? I mean,
you just
that
had
woman,
a kid.
So?
Bond with your kid.
She probably did. She probably like took it straight off her nipple, handed it to someone, beat some dude with a fatality, and then put it back on.
Absolutely not.
To me, that's amazing.
You're talking, right? Okay. I love video games. I have all my life. I love music. I love playing. I love jamming. If my girlfriend just had a C-section, the absolute last thing I'd be doing is playing a video game.
Ramzi Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali. He's the dude that's in the South Korean prison.
Never heard
Somali,
of him.
Not. That's all he's really known for at this point.
I don't care who you are or what side you're on. If you're going to go to a country and do something stupid, then you almost deserve.
But yeah, I have nothing but respect for that woman. She won the tournament while holding her daughter. She didn't even put her kid down. That is badass, okay?
Sure. Again, I don't know why anyone, after having either A, given birth, or B, having had C-section, would be playing a game at all, kid in hand or not. But remove that aside, I guess you could say badass. That
is a level of dedication to the game that like we don't have. I mean, you have to COD, but that's about it.
I wouldn't even say I have the COD. I just play it because I enjoy the BR aspect of it, and it's the only BR I like. As far as games that I've dedicated to, Mortal Kombat would be one of them. After Deception, which was 2008, and I think
Darren, we seriously have to get you into the 2020s.
Dude, that's what I was getting to is after Deception, I stopped caring about playing Mortal Kombat and was more into the story of it.
So when is the last time you played Mortal Kombat? Because that is one of your 6 games that you play on a regular basis. Well, wait, your words, not mine.
Any game or like the most recent one, and when?
Oh, when is the last time you played Mortal Kombat as one? Because again, this is
dot.
your list of the 6 games that you play regularly.
For nostalgia, I turned on Mortal Kombat 2 like a couple nights ago. Like, I think when they announced the Legacy Collection, which I technically already have.
Did you rebuy it?
No.
Or did you just see it in a news article and you're like, all right, I got to do this?
No, I had already had a variation of it. I think with this Legacy Collection, you're getting a lot more for sure. I was thrown off with the Deadly Alliance addition to it because it's not exactly Deadly Alliance. It's the Game Boy Advance version of it or some crap like that. I
haven't followed it. Like I said, I was a Street Fighter person. I was not a Mortal Kombat person.
I have the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter. That's fun.
I do too. I mean, you can't see it, but I have see my old joystick up there from the 25th anniversary.
Nice.
The one I used to play in tournaments and stuff. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Was Mark ever with you on those tournaments?
He was there for the local tournaments.
Yeah. Because I remember he used to hang out at those arcades.
So here's what's the funny thing about that is I used to think that I was okay at Street Fighter, but that I wasn't good. Right. Until I went out to like Long Beach and entered a small tournament out there and went on like a 30-something win just streak. And the only reason that I left and didn't complete the whole thing is that the people I was there with at the bowling alley were done with their league thing. And so we were taking off.
Gotcha.
But I found out later on that the people that we played against in SEMI were like top rated people in the US.
Okay.
Like there are people like one of the guys that was like really high up there, Daigo, came out to Interface and went out to Family Fun out in the Valley and would play games. Justin Wong, another one of those people, he still does commentaries and things. He also would be out there at Family Fun, and those were the people we were playing against. If you look up, I think it's Evo Moment 37. I know that means nothing to you, but anyone that has ever played Third Strike knows exactly what Evo 37 is, because it's the full Chung Lee parry, and it was, Daigo just wiping the floor with Justin. But these are the people that we used to play against in our local arcade. Tom, he was the guy that ran the old arcade, like invited to Japan to go compete.
Oh, that's cool.
And so again, I thought I was just like okay at the game, and then I realized that no, I'm really good. It's just the people I was playing against were, top 50 in the world. So
yeah, you went to the arcade by Regal. That's where Mark went for a bit.
There was that one. I think it was called Power Zone back in the day.
Yeah, which turned into a B of A, and now I think is vacant again.
Yeah, and I think a 14-year-old has driven through the glass window twice on different occasions.
Yeah.
Drunk both times. Kids don't drink. But when it was an arcade, she did it. And then there was another drunk, like 15-year-old or something that drove through the B of A window, going to like take their boyfriend or their sisters or someone's car and put it in drive instead of reverse.
Yeah, I went to that arcade once, I think, with Mark to meet up with him there. For those, putting in context, that's my old drummer when I was in a band. Good friend of mine. He now lives in Japan. I didn't hang out at that arcade. The one other arcade that I hung out with is at Mountain Gate. I don't know if you ever went to that one.
It wasn't that great. I never went over there.
It was ghetto.
So there were two other arcades. There was so Power Zone changed names to something else. I forget what it was. And then it moved over into the Longs Plaza. There was that John's Longs. There was the recruiting center over.
Oh, yeah.
And it was over there. It was called Interface. And that's where we were forever. That whole thing, I found out years later, apparently was some kind of a front for drug money.
Not surprised.
CME's a weird place, man.
Not surprised.
And some of the guys that were like regulars there ended up buying another small one over off of like First Street, and it didn't last long. It was called Denjin. Denjin is one of Ryu's special moves in Third Strike. And yeah, like I said, it didn't last very long. They held a couple of tournaments.
I miss the old arcades because I'm sorry, Dave & Buster's really doesn't cut it. Like there used to be a bar in the Valley called the One Up where they had their own brew of beer, and then they also made their own rye, which was really good, especially with old fashions. But it was like a 90s nostalgic bar, and you go down this ramp, and they have their own custom build made arcade machines that were all free to play. And it was all different things that you could think of in the past, to include Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. It was friggin' awesome. They unfortunately closed. I think the only reason why they lasted as long as they did is because they were, in fact, a bar and sort of tapas where it was just appetizers only. That's one thing that consoles have killed over the years is the arcade industry. It's sad because I remember those were the days. Like, you kids, you don't even know, all right? Putting the quarter on a machine meant something. It meant business.
Yeah. Next in line, and then you remembered which quarter you were. And like, especially when you got into like those long lines of things, you would put a little mark on your quarter so that you knew exactly where it was going down the line.
And if everyone was just huddled around this one dude playing and you put your quarter up, it means I'm about to weak up.
The whole arcade thing, I still really like. I'm actually getting an arcade, like a stand-up arcade. It's supposed to be like 90% size. So instead of it being like, I think a normal arcade was like 6'6", it's going to be like 5'7".
No, a full arcade couldn't.
Yeah, they were that big. They were that tall. Because think about it, you're over 6 foot. You're not looking on the top of that thing.
Yeah, you might be right. Well, I'm 6'1".
Did you see the top of it?
No, I mean, well, again, I haven't been near a full size arcade in years.
They postponed it again, so it's supposed to be here originally in June. And then they postponed it to October, and now it's not supposed to be here till December. Is it like
CRT or is it like a HD screen?
It's an HD screen. It's hooked up to like a Raspberry Pi, and there's going to be like 14 different games that are loaded up onto it to include. It's all a Street Fighter thing. There's a couple other ones that are going to be on there, but it's got Street Fighter 2 Alpha, new Challengers, Third Strike. Like, it has all of the games that I used to play at the arcade. and it's going to be sitting right here behind me. I can't wait for it to get here.
Does it come with like amazing. Is it just like a blank labeling, or does it have like all the artwork for you to like slip on?
No. It comes with the Street Fighter 2 Alpha straight across the side of it. Cool. Ryu and Akuma that are about to like get into it.
That's cool.
It's great. Like the whole thing is done up. If this thing doesn't come through, and if this thing is bad, I swear to God, I'm going to spend the $5,000 and buy a Third Strike cabinet. A full-size Street Fighter Third Strike cabinet.
I would just as well like make that a pet project and just like a DIY thing, because I know they make the parts and that's probably insanely cheaper to do anyway. You can fully customize it to where you can put whatever game you want on it. Mad props to like Best Buy and whoever else that are retailing like even a miniature version of like old arcades like NBA Jam. And it's not just the one game. Dude, I loved NBA Jam. That was so much fun.
I actually have it behind me for the Genesis. It is in one of the boxes. I went through it the other day, and yeah, it's still there. So I got NBA Jam. I have the Lakers versus the Celtics in like, are you good?
Yeah, I was going to do like a voice effect like for NBA Jam. I just wasn't sure if it was going to pass through on this audio. Like, he's on fire!
Why are you like this?
Because I am.
Enough about the past. New stuff. I know you have no idea what K-pop Demon Hunter.
I've heard of K-pop. Isn't that God, I'm gonna get butchered for this.
Yep. Let's hear it.
No, you know what? No, I'm not even gonna answer it. No, I don't know what K-pop is.
For the record, guys, I sent him articles about K-pop and he did not look at them.
I saw them. I don't know what K-pop is.
Korean pop. Korean pop music. K-pop.
Okay, so it's an entire genre.
Yes.
Okay, not like a band.
Anyway,
whatever.
There is this animated movie called K-pop Demon Hunter. All right, I haven't seen it. Apparently, I need to. Marissa watched it. Her friends watched it. My friend's 6-year-old daughter is obsessed with it. They are basically demon hunters that are also K-pop stars.
So wait. There's a genre called K-pop and a band called K-pop. Yes. You said yes.
No. Okay. There is a show on Netflix called K-pop Demon Hunters. They actually have, and the thing is, I know you've heard the music because you can't get away from the music. The music from this movie is playing is playing everywhere. They're mixing it with any kind of a DJ set at this point. They are playing it on the radio. It is out there.
I'm more than happy to critique and judge, but I doubt I've heard it.
I guarantee you, even in passing, if you're walking through a store or any kind of an outside area that is playing a top 40s hit of any kind, they're playing it. You're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you have heard this song or a couple of their songs played at the background of something else going on. 110%. There's no way you have it. Anyway.
So to your credit, probably if I listen to it, then I might make that association. But it's like, that might just be like a cultural difference, because it's like if I were to hear a US song or even an English song over the radio and not know who it was, and then someone says, "Oh, have you heard of this?" "No, let me play a track," and they play that exact same track. "Oh yeah, I have heard this." That's different because I can relate to that a little bit. There's a ton of culturally diverse music that I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to remember this.
Here's the thing. It's not even the fact that it's culturally diverse music. It's going to go into the same genre as like Justin Bieber. Okay. Ew. And I know you've heard Justin Bieber songs walking around somewhere, whether you were wanting to listen to it or not. It was there in the background. It was on a TikTok reel. It was on an Instagram reel. It's there. I know you've heard Baby at least 1 or 2 times. I know you've heard Billie Eilish.
Only while vomiting in the trash can.
That's fine. You like to vomit, apparently.
I do. If only drunk.
So the thing that makes me vomit is Fortnite. K-pop Demon Hunter is going to be collabing with Fortnite.
All right.
I don't understand please explain. You're all about capitalism and making the most amount of money possible. And you are taking like this Korean and this pop sensation and you're mixing it with Fortnite and you're over there stroking out for some reason. Well, Mr. Capitalist, you should be applauding all of this.
Yeah. Nope, you're right. I will 100% I'm not worthy. All right. I'll hail Fortnite.
You legit just stroked out over there.
I did.
I don't know what happened.
Well,
But
because
also,
I'm sorry, but who's a bigger whore, Fortnite or Call of Duty?
we talked about it last week. Call of Duty does not do anything new or inventive.
Very true.
Fortnite was doing all of these collabs with these skins and everything else, and COD's like, hey, we have that kind of money. Why don't we throw this stuff at, like, Seth Rogen and
Ugh.
oh my god, exactly. Yeah, that right there.
So
Horrible. They're doing this. I don't know what's all involved yet. Because I believe it's coming out in a couple of days. I saw this article a few days ago. Next week we'll get back to you with that whole thing. But that's not the only K-pop Demon Hunter news.
Okay.
Because the voice actresses for the band will actually be performing on Jimmy Fallon,
right.
either this week or next week. I don't know when they are exactly. Here's the thing, man. It is not just this one-off type thing. Like, I'm pretty sure you've heard of BTS, whether you know their music or not. I love watching you try to think.
Bravo or Delta? BTS or DTS?
BTS, Bravo.
Okay. No, I have not heard of it.
Okay, the fact that this is like your wheelhouse, like this is the music industry, like these are the #1 hits worldwide, and you do not know them, that's weird.
There's gonna be a ton of musicians out there, and it's all over YouTube. There's like drummers, for example, but he's an amazing drummer, and he had never heard Metallica's Enter Sandman ever, and the dude's like mid his 30s. You would think with the popularity of something like Metallica is the greatest benchmark of all time, because even today, you could find some 18-year-old and be like, hey, have you ever heard of Metallica? No. Have you heard this song? You play Enter Sandman? Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's a great song. Never heard Enter Sandman before, and played it like perfectly in his own variation of it.
Larnell Lewis Hearn?
Yes.
Oh, no, that's just a bad picture of him. He does not look like he's in his 30s. That dude looks like he's in his 60s.
Fantastic drummer. Not everyone's going to have heard of everybody, and I'm nowhere.
And I understand that, but the thing is that guy, by the time he was really listening to music, Metallica, I'm sorry, has not been relevant for probably 3 decades.
That's fair, because
Metallica, I'm sorry, the last time Metallica was actually relevant would have been when they performed with the San Francisco Street Orchestra?
No. The last time they were relevant was Death Magnetic, and that's because that album was so trashly recorded on the snare. That's like the height of their popularity of that album was because of how crappy the snare sounded. And that was the last time they were relevant.
All right. So, and that was released in 2008.
Yeah.
All right. So this dude, as you're saying, is 30 years old, right? We're just going to go off the fact that he's 30.
Well, how old? I don't know how old the video is.
The video's from 2021. So fine. He'll be 34. Cool.
Okay.
That would have meant that he was maybe 14, 15 when this thing came out.
What do you mean?
I'd never heard of okay, I know who Metallica is. I've never heard of Death Magnet. Again, that to me, that is not.
I'm sorry. Saint Anger.
Okay, by the way, Saint Anger was 2003. That was released. Okay.
That's even worse.
You're going farther back. All right.
Yeah.
Again, that means that they haven't been relevant for over 20 years.
Yeah.
All right. And if the guy's 30, I'm sorry. Like I might have heard Enter Sandman at the age of 10, or something like that. But if I had not actually grown up in that time period when it came out or anything like that, there's a bunch of artists that are coming out now where I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I have no idea who the artist is. Rap was more so that way.
Snoop's comment on that, where he's like, the rappers today, it's too much. Like poetic timings, it's iambic pentameter and uniambic pentameter.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, Run DMC, Snoop, basically all the guys from NWA.
Yeah, everyone rapped in iambic pentameter, and it was the whole Shakespeare thing.
Notorious B.I.G., they were all good with the iambic pentameter, but I would say B.I.G. and Snoop were probably the top 2 that could flow in and out of it gracefully.
Okay.
Eminem comes along. He kind of changes the game a little bit.
You're just saying that because he's white. And honestly, no, he's changed it since. His stuff early on was right in line with a lot of it. He was just this angry, nasally white dude. And
Yeah.
that was it. Like when you're talking about things like the Eminem LP or the Slim Shady LP, before he got into this speed rap, before he
Yeah.
became a lyricist, before he started
Like he was,
competing with the likes of Tech Nine and Busta Rhymes, his style of rap has completely changed. Because I'm
yeah.
sorry, the Eminem from 1999 that's on the Chronic 2001
Mm-hmm.
could not hold a candle to any of those rappers I just listed off.
Right. And even then, so all those rappers that were listed off or whatever, they're the ones that knew those poetic devices, albeit the fact that even, like, can't remember who did it worse in terms of like the cursing and, the repetitive nature of conversation that they would have in each of their songs.
ICP.
Oh, God. Show's over.
ICP dropped the F-bomb 93 times in a single song. And the only reason I know that is literally one of the lines in the song is, don't bother trying to analyze these lines. In this song, I say 93 times.
I do not care for anything ICP puts out, period, dot.
Oh, they're funny.
No.
That's what I liked about him, is that they were funny. And the thing is, it's like normally they're cracking jokes about people that are flying the Confederate flag and about bigots and how stupid they are and everything else. And then they come out with their Wraith and Shangri-La albums like, oh yeah, by the way, we're religious rappers. Everything we've done is for God. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, just because of Gus doesn't mean we don't believe in God. It's like, okay, that's fair. There's a bunch of songs where, they talk about that kind of thing. Their storytelling along with their stuff, like their entire albums, like Wizard of the Hood, where they rap the entire story of the Wizard of Oz. That was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed that. There were other stuff, chicken hunting and whatever else. Look, man, we grew up in Simi. Okay. That's a bunch of like juggalo white trash, especially the time that we grew up.
I'm proud to say I was not part of that white trash. So,
oh, your friends were.
Actually, no. No.
Okay, I'm sorry, but Battle Vest, he's one of them.
Him and I never hung out in high school. He was off somewhere else. Like he fell off the map somewhere in elementary, and then we reconnected. Dude, it was sometime after I graduated.
It was high school. He joined theater.
Was he?
Yep, he was there.
Oh, that's wild.
Him and Black Tony. Okay, we had like 3 black kids at our school, and one of them was named Tony.
Oh wait, I vaguely remember him. Vaguely.
Like I said, there was like 3 black kids in the entire school, and I know for a fact that you remember Black Tony. And we had to say Black Tony because there's a bunch of white dudes named Tony, but there was only one Black Tony.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember him.
I literally have a picture of you at one of my parties in front of a cop car, hands behind our backs, sitting next to Black Tony.
Was I actually getting arrested?
No.
Detained? Well, I've never been arrested. Was I getting detained?
No. Okay. The cops are really awesome. They just like let us take pictures around the car. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, K-pop Demon Hunter. They're going to be doing Jimmy Fallon sometime next week. It's
cool. I mean, I don't even watch Jimmy Fallon. Like every now and then.
Oh, I don't either.
I'll pull up a clip from Jimmy Fallon, but a lot of those like late night hosts kind of fell out of favor with me, except for Conan. If you sent me a clip of K-pop or whatever, I'd listen to it and critique it. But I'm like, hey.
All right. Then let's see if I can find something you'll actually have an opinion on. What about the AI hologram of Stan Lee at the LA Comic-Con?
That's pretty cool. I mean,
you're the only one that thinks so. Everyone else was flaming out of it.
I mean, it depends on what context it was used.
To have conversations with them using AI. You haven't watched Black Mirror, have you?
No.
Oh my God. Why do you say it like that? It is such a good The entire premise around Black Mirror is how much we've relied on technology and how much it's screwing us over.
Was the permission of the family, whoever
no idea
the state? That would be probably my only question. Because it's like if I were that famous and someone wanted to use my likeness for like an AI hologram, whatever, gain the consent of like my wife or next of kin, or couldn't care less because I'm dead,
Technically, Stan Lee didn't even have rights to his likeness or anything else because he sold it. He sold it to Marvel. He sold it to, all those movies or whatever it is. Like, he sold his likeness. I was watching a thing where someone brought in a picture of Stan Lee that was signed, And they're like, oh, when did you get this signed? And if you got Stanley's signature after a certain point of time, it was worth more money than before. Because apparently before, he was just going to everything he could because he was a nobody. So if you got his signature while he was a nobody, then it's not worth anything to a collector. But if you got it after he became something, I've never understood that with signature collecting, how an older signature before those things happened. But if it's during his prime,
I think it's more of like the story behind the signature too. As like the authentication of it's one thing, but it's the story behind the signature. So like if a writer, for example, uses a pseudonym, kind of the same thing. You know, if they sign.
Okay, but wait. Say a pseudonym.
Is it pronounced pseudonym?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Pseudonym.
What? Shut up.
Pseudonym. Got it.
Oh, don't worry, I'll edit that out.
I meant to bring this up earlier. The TPM 2.0? The newest Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter Wilds, will not work after Windows drop support on the 14th. The Final Fantasy patch, because they're doing a collab between Final Fantasy and Monster Hunter World, is going to be on October 7th, 2025.
So they're basically shutting down to anyone that doesn't have TPM 2.0.
I guess.
Yeah. Most are doing it. The Black Ops 7 beta ran into that. There was one other game that I heard of that ran into that. My question would be is this going to apply to like every game?
Well, once the precedent is set, that's it, right? That's our biggest issue with all the stuff that Nintendo keeps doing with their patent lawsuits and going back and trying to get patents for stuff that, again, they didn't make up or anything like that, but they happen to have the money. So like being able to do a patent 25 years later is nuts after everything's already been used.
Necessarily because patents really, they don't have the same length of time as a copyright does. A copyright, I think, is like 75 years plus the life of the owner. Something like that.
But that would be like me going into like something that you created that you just didn't patented yet, or some like technology that I may have created or took from someone else, but I popularized it. Other people have used it. And then I'm like, yeah, that's actually mine. Like we're not that type of, at least I didn't think we were that type of world. Apparently we are now. It's pathetic. If GTA 6 launches at $100, that's going to be the new precedent. If Borderlands had launched at $80 following, the Mario Kart World, that's the new precedent of $80.
Well, at the same time, too, there's also the present value of money factor involved in all of it. Like Nintendo is probably the most wild in terms of its inflation, because most consoles have been steady at about $400 to $500 the last, I would argue like maybe 5-7 years, something like that.
Xbox last week went up to like almost $700.
There you go. So even during the chip issue during COVID, with the lack of being chips manufactured, Nintendo maintained their $250 price point on the Switch, which I thought was awesome. With the Switch 2, they bumped that up to about $500. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, do you really have a $500 console? Obviously for Zelda, the GameCube emulator and all that stuff, yes. I wanted to stay on top of that. I got it knowing that I was probably going to have some level of disappointment to it because they didn't bring the games to the table. That's just a fact.
Why would you buy something and spend hundreds, almost $1,000 to know that you're going to be disappointed?
Because I'm going to go back to my original point, Zelda. I want to stay on top of that when they come out with a new Zelda game that may not be available for Switch 1. GameCube, if they came out with Twilight Princess for it, I absolutely love that game. But at the same time, I do give them credit for running at 60 FPS no matter what TV you're on. They needed to bring more games to the table upon its release because that was kind of a letdown. They really didn't do that much.
Like I said, Darren, we literally talked about this last week that they brought a single game with the new console. Everything else was a remake or a remaster.
Yeah. And we don't have to rehash that, but to the point of like the price point discussion of it, $500 is a pretty large jump, for any one console, even over the course of when was Switch 1 released? 2016?
The last Nintendo system I bought was an N64.
Okay. I'm not asking when you bought. I'm asking
No,
when it
I don't
released.
know about price points for any of these things because honestly, Nintendo, for people that are actual gamers, not just, trying to relive their childhood, has been irrelevant for decades. I understand that they have like the one IP that you really like, which is Zelda, but I mean, it's one of those things that game has now been pirated so much because Nintendo wants to like have this monopoly on just this one IP when it shows that, products sell a whole lot better when you have it through multiple platforms and multiple things. That's why, COD is going to outsell Zelda games hand over fist. That's
That's
why all of these other games that are like on multi-platform, unless Zelda comes to PC, like the Steam store and everything else, I'll just never play it.
I'll even challenge that argument where it's like I think you are so on the anti-Nintendo bandwagon that there's no good they could do to impress you.
Name one good thing that they've done in the past 10 years.
I mean, the Switch was a pretty decent idea.
Took the idea from Sega Genesis when they did, what was it called? I always want to call it the Mad Dog, but it wasn't. That literally took the Sega Genesis games and put it into a handheld. Nope, wasn't Game Gear. Game Gear had its own games. There was another system.
That was the only handle they had.
Nope. There was another. I mean, if you want, I can pull it up for you.
That's fine.
But there was a handheld that was literally the Sega Genesis cartridges were the things that you would put straight into your handheld. And then you could actually just hook it up to your TV and play it as that. But you were able to take the stuff from then and go, now they did it better. I'll give them that.
No differently than, I mean, the comparison there would be like MySpace to Facebook. Is Facebook the first social media? Facebook did it right ultimately. So
no. I like I said, I will give you the fact that they've improved upon, but okay, fine. I did say the past 10 years, March 3rd, 2017 is when Nintendo Switch launched. So I'll give you that.
Yeah. I mean, and Zelda isn't their only IP. Granted, their biggest IP is the Mario community, and that digresses into multiple factors. I would argue, you have the Mario games in on itself, which I don't know if they sell as great as Mario Kart or Mario Party. Those are the top three that I could think of under that umbrella. And then you also have the Super Smash Brothers. Then you have the Zelda series, and then all the IP that they have collected with that, such as Sonic the Hedgehog, which they do outsource to the Steam community and Sony community, et cetera, et cetera.
But when you have these other games like COD, or not being able to play games because of the system limitations, you just lose out on so much.
Don't get me wrong, the 100% inflationary price point is a bit egotistical. I never disagreed with that.
By the way, the new Xbox is going for $650 for the 500 gig hard drive. The terabyte is $700.
They're the ones that I didn't understand that they did like multiple variations of. Like PlayStation's PlayStation. I know they eventually come out with like the PS5 Pro or something like.
You don't want to jump generations because you don't need to, and you don't have that type of thing. But you have something better, so you can increase cooling, or you can make it smaller. Like I have a PS2 Slim because I got it later than the original PlayStation 2. So my thing is my PlayStation is much, much smaller than what the original one was, just because technology.
Yeah.
You can have a bigger hard drive. You can just have components that just run better in general. It's the same thing like graphics cards. You have all of these different tiers of graphics cards, but they're all still within that same generation.
Correct. My biggest comparison is, I guess my frame of reference would be the PlayStation, because I bought my first PlayStation, which would be the PS4. Must have been around 2016 or 2017. I have upgraded that to the PS5 within that time. All right, so call that the last 9 years, something like that. Almost a decade. The Switch, I've only changed once. So
the Switch 2?
Yep.
Okay. If they'd come out with a bigger game lineup, it just there just is not enough of a thing there. The Switch 2 is nothing more than the PS5 Pro. Like there is nothing else there.
Yeah, RJ was asking, and I told him, I'm like, if you don't already have one, then sure, bite the bullet. But if you're looking to save money, unless you're a diehard Mario Kart or Zelda fan, stick to the Switch 1. It'll be cheaper.
And even the Zelda thing, I would say that once they come out with the new game, then buy it.
Well, no,
When
so even then, if you have a 120 refresh TV, stick with the Switch 1 because you'll get the same performance. You're barely going to see a difference.
last thing, big news in Minecraft. I know you don't care about Minecraft, but I do. They are introducing the first tiered weapon in 15 years, the spear. So basically what it is that when you make things, you can make it out of, wood, stone, iron, gold, or whatever.
Right.
And for the longest time, the only real weapon has been the sword. You have a shield, and then you have a couple of other items like the axe, the shovel, the hoe, whatever, that you can make different tiers of. They're introducing, again, after 15 years, the spear, which is huge. Like they've been making different changes to Minecraft, and each of the changes that they've made to Minecraft over the past like 10 years have been gigantic, with the new biomes that they've come up with, the new enemies that are within those biomes. They created, I talked about a while ago, but the little they have better uses for copper now. You can have a little copper golem where you make him and he will sort your chests for you. Instead of having a sorting system, you have a dump chest, and then you put like certain items into the chest you want it into, and he'll carry like 8 or 16 items at a time, and you'll just watch him carry them from point A to point B and auto sort for you. So
I never got into Minecraft. It did not appeal to me whatsoever. If I understand it correctly, there's a lot of resource planning to the game that you have to undertake, which I can appreciate.
So it's really funny because Minecraft is played in this block form, right? Like it's played very low res, unless you have your shaders or your mod packs or whatever. But it's played at this very low resolution. The thing is that because when you're rendering in a block, you're rendering in all 6 sides of all of the blocks within your range, it's actually very hardware intensive. And there's a lot of people that have actually had a hard time running Minecraft at higher frame rates purely because of how demanding it is because of all of that loading in. So they've optimized it a lot and they've made things a whole lot better, but this is huge. Being able to have a new weapon. I have no idea what is going to go into it. Apparently besides the spear and zombie horse, for Mounts of Mayhem, new underwater mount is going to be available. Make sure you unlock underwater breathing with help from the local pufferfish. So Mounts of Mayhem is going to be the newest thing that comes out. The update should, following Minecraft's Copper Age update, released on September 30th.
Nice.
So it'll be out later this year.
I don't know if my nephew still plays Minecraft. My nephew's actually been doing pretty good in the content creation community. I guess he was doing something with bikes, like e-bikes or whatever. And he just put something out there and it kind of went viral. I guess he started helping this one company, their content creation. They're sort of incentivizing him, which is great. He's doing really well with it.
Speaking of content creation, I don't know what's going on with our shorts. YouTube, we have like 1,000 plus per short. Granted, we've only put out like 4 or 5, but 1,000 plus. Instagram, 300 to 500.
Okay.
TikTok, 3 to 9. Not 100, just 3 to 9.
I have theories on that.
Tell me. I want to hear the theories about this whole thing, because I have one theory on it, but the fact that we have the same relative size following on each of them, all of the tags are, very, very similar to one another. They aren't identical, but they are very similar. It's just really weird that it is such a discrepancy between these things. Theory.
So what I've noticed with my reels, YouTube has been weird lately. A combination of the tagging algorithm, like hashtags, and who you tag, as well as the content within the text. I believe there's some sort of, AI caption associated with it, as far as like the content we talk about versus the hashtags that you include. That's a lot of like old school SEO. So back in the day with search engine optimization, you have text on a page and you would use a meta tag behind the scenes to sort of connect the dots in hopes that someone would be specific enough to Google that, but not be so generic to where everyone's using it. So it's kind of the same concept, kind of the same game, which is, this is where I argue, things like Opus Clip. And I know Opus Clip is just one of them out there, but it's like, how do they stack up to, against a human hand that knows how to work that? So what I would do as a challenge is pick one of those videos and just add other tags, change some text up, maybe tag someone.
No, that's the whole thing.
Oh, you do?
that is a part of it. I go through and I make sure that I read what the description is going to be and everything else. And some of the descriptions just do not make sense because it's an AI description. And so I'll go through and I'll redo it. But most of them, and the thing is, I'm not worried about how much we're getting. The thing that's weird to me is just how incredibly different it is across 3 different platforms. Because when you have single digit on one, and then the one that came out this morning is at, 1,500 views already. It's been out for about 11 hours. Huge discrepancy between 9 and 1,500 when it is the same form. And arguably TikTok should be higher across the board just because that is, short form entertainment.
Yeah, but are they the only short form entertainment? And the answer is no. And another way of looking at it is you have TikTok, right? Which is, you call them, the king of short form content. Why are they the king? Because everybody and their mother's on it, and everybody and their mother is pushing content on TikTok. Right. So that would arguably be why YouTube, who was late in the game with shorts, why our content, for example, is shooting up in numbers. That would explain why Instagram, also late in the game comparably to TikTok, even though I think they bought Chive, something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
They bought Vine.
That's what it was. So they bought Vine, and yeah, they've had short form content for forever, but TikTok is the one that put it on the map. So now they bring it back up with Reels. Well, why are our numbers higher in TikTok or higher in Instagram? Because, there's less market to compete with. So
I don't know. I just feel that because the view counts are weird. Basically, as long as it goes across a page and they watch it for more than 3 seconds, we have 1 minute things. It counts as a view. It takes someone more than 3 seconds to realize whether or not they actually want to watch this thing. You're not just, it takes you about 1 second just to swipe up to see what the content is. You know what I mean? Yep. And so it's just weird to me that with that many more people in something, that it isn't being viewed more on that one, that it's being viewed more on things that are,
well, again, like I said,
niche.
you're in a more diverse competitive environment. That's what it comes down to. That's what I was saying earlier, that the market is just oversaturated with content creators and streamers and podcasters, blah, blah, blah. Unless you tag something very specific, you might have a difficult time. Not to say that you won't climb the hill, you're just going to have a more difficult time doing it. Why? Because again, the market's saturated. But Instagram and YouTube is just about in the same boat now. I would say, depending on the subject of discussion, you could probably narrow down into a more niche market, but the problem is still one and the same. And there's just a lot of it out there.
So Missa and we think that it's because TikTok is trying to curb bots. So it's just not pushing new channels because the channel was created and then we started pushing content immediately, which is a very bot thing to do in a saturated market. So we think that it's because of bot control.
It could be. Another thing
that YouTube, of course, just doesn't care about bots.
They don't
love their bots.
One thing, you think YouTube's bad? I would say Twitch is probably the worst. When you say the word content creator, all right, that doesn't mean anything specific. When you say the word podcaster, that's, us. When you say someone like streamer, that could be kind of like this, or it could be gaming. But when you say the word content creator, it's very generic. And someone who just uses their phone to capture something live or capture themselves live because they want to do some sort of IRL stream or whatever, that's content technically. Adds to the problem, as far as the saturation of the market. And I would argue a lot of times, a lot of those people doing IRL content are not doing anything of any interest to anyone.
Twitch actually did something about that a while ago because they only had a single topic, and that was IRL. And that was it. But then you had people like Amaranth coming in and doing her pool stream.
Yep.
All right. And then all of a sudden it's this, this hoe in a pool in her living room, and everyone's like waiting for that nip slip, right? And that's it. They're like, okay, we're going to split that off a little bit so that that's in its own category now. So now it's, pools, beaches, and hot tubs. But then she starts doing her ASMR, her freaking like ear licking and nail clicking and suckling of whatever she happens to have at that time.
This is so ridiculous.
What? Anyway, I brought up the queen of ear licking because she got known for her ASMR. And then she went to OnlyFans and she's still licking things and it's still ASMR. It's just other holes, not necessarily ears anymore.
You nailed it on the head, no pun intended.
But they separated it again, and they keep reseparating these things into, different things. Sometimes it hurts a game or a collective of things when they separate things too much. Like they separated Warzone and Call of Duty. Well, that doesn't necessarily hurt the people that are trying to play one of those old CODs. But now Warzone, imagine if they started splitting the Warzone thing up into Rebirth and Warzone.
Well, okay.
I wouldn't mind it because it would be much more specific to that.
I'm unopposed to any of that per se, because you're sort of creating competition within on itself. And technically speaking, from a brick and mortar standpoint, that's, a bad idea. But in the case of, something like Twitch, it's not too terrible of an idea, but it's like you're putting the market in different rooms of the same house, on the same street. But
as far as breaking up the actual people for it or whatever it is, they've already done that, right? They've already done it by having different Call of Duties. They've already done it by having, different ways of playing the battle royale, whether it's the, what the hell's the new thing called? Not Deadline.
Yeah. Deadline.
No. Deadline.
Yeah,
okay.
Deadline.
Whether it's Deadline, whether it is Plunder, or it's Rebirth, or it's just a normal game, a casual game, they're already splintering their player base into, 15, 20 different directions. Arguably, they needed to bring in the casuals only because they weren't filling lobbies being splintered that much. But I do think it would be a nice thing if Twitch were to do the same thing. I mean, they did it with Tarkov. They have Tarkov, and then they have Tarkov Arena, which is the multiplayer version of it. Right. You don't have COD Black Ops 6 and then COD Black Ops 6 multiplayer. It's just all Black Ops 6.
Right. So I mean, I'm okay with the diversification, of certain markets within its own platform. I'm fine with that, because you're really not who you're really hurting at the end of the day. All right.
Yep.
But when it came to Amaranth, funny that you brought her up, because she actually had one of the most elite responses to people. And it was something having to do with, I do what I do, and if you're willing to pay me money thinking that you have a chance with me, then I'm more than happy to take it to, because that's on you. And the problem I have with people like Amaranth is the things that she did on that channel is almost no different than someone taking out their cell phone and just, filming themselves for the outfit, or going live, for the hell of it in Vegas or whatever, putting that into the market, because again, you're saturating the market with things that nobody really gives a crap about.
You say no one gives a crap about it, but this woman had hundreds of thousands of people watching her. People give a crap about it.
There's an inherent reason why she was popular, and there's an inherent reason why people are willing to throw her money. There's a reason why she transcended from one market to another. But at the same time, if you're going to go into the OnlyFans market, then just go there. If you're going to build yourself up within the Twitch market, okay, that makes sense if you're going to transition later on down the road. But it's like, what's the point in you sitting in a pool or a jacuzzi? What benefit are you providing anybody else other than the people that are willing just to throw you money?
That's it.
I know. And
there's actually a bunch of Twitch streamers out there right now that are they're like edging streamers, and basically they will sit there and say, okay, we're going to get this started. And you'll see like a part of them in like a bikini. And then it's only like a side of it, like a little piece.
Side boob.
And then, no, not even side boob. It's just like the very far side of like a belly. And you'll see like a part of a leg or like an arm coming over to type something. Okay, we're going to start in 10 minutes. And then like 3 hours later, they end the stream like, all right, guys, thanks for coming. Darren, all I hear you saying is that me and you need to start an OnlyFans.
Yeah, how about no?
You can take your hat off and be like the key light or something. You're welcome.
Can I go like,
guys, thanks for joining the podcast today.
Hair joke?
Anyway, if anyone knows how to get me onto Apple Podcasts, let me know. But yeah, we are on iHeart, Apple, Amazon, no, not Apple, Amazon Music, YouTube, and Spotify. Make sure to check the socials for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. Yeah, we have those, Darren. I understand that you're not with the 21st century, but
no, I've been on Reddit forums here and there.
Don't worry, guys. We are not going to 4chan. Have yourselves a good night.